Welcome back. The Chevy Volt, pictured right here, has had a rocky start, but despite some sagging sales and some other issues, our next guest says it's a great car that's gotten a bad rap, all because of President Obama's record, perhaps. Joining us right now from Dallas this morning is Lee Speakerman, CEO of Speakerman Media and media entrepreneur as well. Good morning to you, Lee.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning to you.
What do you mean that the car's gotten a bad rap, almost guilt by association?
Well, you know, I'm a Texan. I love oil. I'm a drill, baby, drill guy, you know, and unfortunately, I love Fox News and feel like I'm kind of attacking my own family here because I love O'Reilly, I love Neil Cavuto, I love Eric Bolling. But like a lot of my fellow conservatives, they seem to have kind of a fetish for demonizing the Volt. And they're perpetuating this myth that the Volt was some kind of Obama administration green energy fantasy that, as you say, was forced on General Motors during the bailout. It had been in development 2 years before Obama was elected, and it was championed by one of the greatest car executives in American history, Bob Lutz, who's a conservative and a climate change skeptic. So, you know, it's a myth. The tax break for buying the Volt was implemented by the Bush administration. That was not something that occurred under the Obama administration. So, unfortunately, there have been a lot of myths perpetuated. Do you know, Steve, if you live in Ohio and have a Volt, do you know where the electricity is going to come from for that Volt?
Coal?
You got it. That exotic green energy fuel known as coal.
Right.
The great thing about the Volt is it is the quickest and most efficient way to bring American fossil fuels like natural gas and coal and nuclear power to American automobiles.
Right.
And I don't understand what's so conservative about wanting to send $35 billion a year to Hugo Chavez's Venezuela for his oil, or to send $70 billion to Middle Eastern OPEC countries. I don't see how that's conservative. You know, we're propping up the world oil price, which is giving Iran the resources it needs to develop nuclear weapons. Indirectly, it's funding Hezbollah and Hamas and terrorists that are trying to kill Americans. We've simply got to stop this, and the Chevy Volt is by far the best way to bring all American energy, not just renewable sources, which is terrific and great for the environment, but our coal, our nuclear, our natural gas, which we have a prodigious amount of, to our automobiles. There's no real efficient way to do it other than by electrifying automobiles.
Lee, I'm glad you brought up the myth that so many people think that Barack Obama, you know, came to office and shoved this down GM's throat. It had been in development for at least 2 years, as you detailed. You also talked about how much energy we could actually save by using the Volt. We've got a big graphic over here that people can see. As you can see, if there were 30 million volts on the road over 10 years, you'd save 694 million barrels of oil each year, 103% of oil imported from the Mideast or OPEC. So we certainly would be more independent than we currently are from Hugo Chavez. But you say this is a national security issue, don't you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, again, as I said, we're propping up the world oil price. I mean, we do need a lot more production, but what we should do, as Newt Gingrich has said, we can get gasoline down to $2.50 a barrel. That requires two things. One, a lot more American oil production. And part of the problem, unfortunately, is that the Obama administration has had pretty much of an anti-American fossil fuel agenda, and that has tainted the Volt. But we also need to reduce the demand for gasoline. And again, the way to do that is to have a lot more Chevy Volts out there. And the Volt is a terrific car. I mean, frankly, it's the iPhone of the American automobile industry. It won the North American Car of the Year, the European Car of the Year, both in 2011, first time that's ever happened. It is the safest car on the road, according to the International Institute of Highway Safety. So this is a wonderful vehicle. Look, I'm a 6'3" guy with a lead foot. You know, the last thing I want to do is drive an Econobox. I've driven the Chevy Volt. It's a fantastic vehicle, very impressive. Over 5 years, you'll save a ton of fuel. There's a price differential, but at the end of the day, we really only need to get the Volt about 20% cheaper to make it comparable to the Chevy Cruze, which is the gasoline model.
There you go.
That's equivalent. And, you know, look at flat screen TVs. They've come down 50% in 5 years. Computers have gone down 90%. So it would be a huge thing for national security. It's a great vehicle, and it's a great way to maximize American energy.
Well, you know what, Lee? I knew that I was going to talk to you today, and I went out and I test drove one on Saturday. You're right. It's a cool car, and it's smooth as glass. So people who are interested in that kind of vehicle, check out the Chevy Volt. Lee
And
Speakerman.
then, Steve, one quick thing. It only
sir.
needs two things, two options. A bumper sticker on the front that says, "Shove it, Hugo Chavez," and a bumper sticker on the back that says, "I'm driving an anti-terrorist weapon." That's all you need, and you've got a perfect car with a Chevy Volt.
You make a good point. All right, Lee Speakerman joining us today from Dallas. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve.